Good morning, friends. It gives me immense pleasure to be here for my course, Project-Based Learning. This course is a unique course in which we try to make sure that students are learning by doing. That is the objective of this course. In Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, from first year, second year, third year and fourth year, all the years we give some project-based learning in every semester, and their names are different. However, the objective is same, that every student should be involved for finding out the problem and how these problems are solved. By this, students are going to learn so many things. Today I am going to discuss about student guide to project-based learning, part 1. So, because it will take a lot of time, so I have made this topic in two groups, part 1 and the part 2. As you know that I am Dr. Dwivedi, professor from Department of Aeronautical Engineering, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad, India. So, for the today's topic, I have made these points: role of language and subject teacher, project-based learning and students, importance of meeting, problem designing, meeting and record. These are the. So before I start this topic, I will try to revisit the topics which I have covered. I think this is my 12th lecture on project-based learning. Before that, I have gone for different issues and how the students can make their project, how they can find out the problem, how they can use all the resources, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of the project-based learning. So, if you see this project-based learning, some people or some colleges, they are not success because this monitoring is not done properly. I have given previously the very nice example of how the students of some of the colleges, they have made some project, and these projects are really in a real world problem. So a student has to find out the real world problem and they should try to solve by own idea, own skill, own vision. Here the teacher is only to assist, to mentor the student, and in time and again, this teacher has to see that students are doing work properly, their direction is properly maintained. If this is not done, then this result of this project-based learning going to be very disastrous. Every now and then, I will recommend within every 15 days, the teacher has to call the students and ask them to give the presentation how much they have worked. And if the teacher feels that they need some additional guidance, they can also give to them so that the project is completed within a stipulated time. So here, project-based learning, I will start with the words of Gautam Buddha. An idea that is developed and put into action is more important than an idea that exists only as an idea. You know, this Gautam Buddha is from 400 to 500 BC. Means if you count from here 2500 to 2700 years ago, this quote was given. So idea has to be developed and it should be put into practice. In the real world scenario, your idea should be there. Otherwise, your ideas are like a dream. We see so many dreams in night and in the morning we are just vanished. No use of such dream. We have to see the dream and we should try to fulfill that dream. Not only seeing the dream. So you should generate the idea and this idea has to be implemented in the real world issues, in the society, in the community, in the institute, in college, in your village, district, country and all over the world. Your work should be recognized. That much we have to do it. So PBL is an innovative model for the learning. And what is the learning? There is a difference between teaching and the learning. Learning means here teacher and the students both are involved to learn. Even teacher is learning so many things from the students. So learning process has to be developed, and the learning process should be innovative, not the same type of pattern in a template people are just moving. It is not. So project-based learning is an innovative method for students learning to find solution for the real world problem. Students should be able to first find the problem and then how to solve that problem which is existing, and that is the object of our work. In my previous lecture, I have given one very good example, two very good example. One is for the salamanders. These are the species, they are very rarely available and they are in the extinct. So this task was given to some of the students, and they have find out that there are sufficient number of salamanders are available on the jungles, and there are so many are killed on the roads, because in the evening night whenever they cross the road and some car or some vehicle is coming and they are crushed in that. So we have to make sure that these are not died. A very primary or junior school students, they have studied and they have find out that there are sufficient number of salamanders are available, but so many are dying every day, and they have put the report to the municipal corporation of the nearby town, and they have told that this report is not correct because salamanders are not available at all. But they have taken videograph, they have taken the photographs and they have presented, and these authorities have come to that location and they have seen that there are a number of salamanders are available there. So they have started making, and they have given the task to the students of class 6, 7, 8 student, and these students have made a very nice solution for this problem. Means the existence of salamanders are available and also the traffic will go. So they have made one small tunnel. So if this is the road, they have made some like this, and from here some like this they have made, and salamanders will come, and from here they made some grit like this iron grit. This iron grit will go inside the road, and these salamanders will pass from this side or from this side, and there will not be any accident of this on the road. So they have very nicely designed, and I have explained this thing earlier also in my earlier classes. So this is the one issue. Secondly, if you remember, I have also explained about one cave house. Sometimes in jungles and all, we have to stay inside the cave. So how you can make a very nice cave? And one of the students, slightly retarded from its working capability, she has made a very nice one design of a underground house, and it was very much appreciated. Same way for study on snakes, because we all feel that snakes are very dangerous and they will bite and people will die. So every snakes are not poisonous. So we should also share the snakes. Snakes are our friends, not the enemies. So they are very useful for our society, for our farmers. They will eat the rats, because rats are very dangerous for our crop and for our houses also. So they will eat. So a cycle of livelihood, the life cycle should be maintained in the nature, so that everyone will survive nicely. If we try to spoil the cycle of the nature, then there will be a disturbance, there will be imbalance of the cycle, and there will be the problem for the each and everyone. So this type of problem I have discussed in my previous class, but why we should go about the teaching and the learning process. So that is also one issue. So first we should know the learning levels of our community. Here we have to start with remembering, then understanding, then applying, then analyzing, then evaluating, and then creating. So we should go in this way, one by one, and then only we should form the things. So the remembering means recalling the relevant knowledge from long-term memories. Understanding, making sense of material you have learned. Then applying, use the knowledge gained in new ways. Analyzing, breaking the concept into parts and understanding how each part is related to one another. Next level is evaluating. In this evaluating, if you see that making judgment based on a set of guidelines. Then last is the putting information together in an innovative way. So in this, we are creating some object, some methods, some techniques. So that is our goal of our education, is to make sure that our students should reach in this peak. So that is why we need our project-based learning technique. And in this technique, we should make sure that teachers should be very much competent enough to handle this course. It is not just time pass. Then a very pathetic result will come. It will be disastrous for the learning, and there will be zero learning. It is worse than for the conventional classroom learning process. If we are not able to make sure that students are not able to do the work. Now, I will discuss about the role of language and the subject teacher. So, you know that if you make any project, the language is very important. How you write the project, how you go one parallelly each other. So, the language and the subject teachers are very much important. If the subject teacher knows very well language, then subject and the language teacher can be same. So we have to ensure that the faculty or the teacher who is involved in this, he or she should be very much thorough about the writing technique, about presentation technique, about all the issues. Both should be taught by the teachers. So the cooperation between a subject and the language teacher is essential for the success of the project. So the subject teacher and the language teacher both should be very much important for any project. As the materials studies might surpass the competency of the language teacher, it is necessary to work with both. So sometimes the material or some technological studies where the competency of the language teacher may surpass or may not know. But for writing the project, a language teacher is very much essential. The subject teacher provides professional support, while the language teacher helps you with the appropriate use of language. So what is the difference between the subject teacher and the language teacher? The subject teacher will give the all professional input, all the professional support and guidance for the student, that you go like this, you go like this, you do like this, you do like this, this is the theory, this is the concept. These all things will be explained by the subject teacher. But how to write a report, these all things has to be done by the language teacher, and this language teacher helps the students with appropriate use of language, which type of language, how we should go ahead with that. Nevertheless, the subject teacher who is fluent in English should be able to help you with technical vocabulary. So sometimes if the language teachers are not sufficient available and all cannot be handled, so the subject teacher, if he or she is having very good English, very good command in language, they can also explain and they can also give the technical wordings and the vocabularies so that a nice system can be developed. In short, teachers are involved in this process as facilitators who provide you with appropriate materials, suggest what source to study or where you can find them, as well as how to recognize your work. Ideally, both teachers are involved in assessing the report and presentation, and if possible, they both monitor the whole process. Next is PBL and the student. So, in my previous slide, we have discussed about the PBL and the teacher. And this teacher may be a subject teacher or it may be the language teacher. But what about the students? So, how the students have to be proceed ahead? So, here, students should design problem by yourself. So, the students should design the problem by themselves. You will also check if the problem you designed is relevant to the subject field and related to the real world. But you should make sure, the teacher should make sure that the design problem should be relevant to the subject and also it should be to the real world problem. This they have to ensure. Before the selecting the problem, it is very much essential that the problem should be from the relevant subject as the teacher is involved. Then only teacher has to take the responsibility, and also it should have some real world issues. Timing, the whole project duration should be for 4 or 6 weeks. Your project should not go very long, maybe 1 to 1.5 months. Can be for 2 months to produce a written report and another 2 to 4 weeks to have the reports corrected and to prepare for the presentation. So like this, we can have some 8 weeks, 2 months to 2.5 months or 3 months as per the requirement. And in that way, we have to design the timing. We should not give very long time, and so students will not be able to assess properly. And how to do the assessment? Carrying out peer assessment before the subject is essential. This allows you to control the success of your project. Moreover, you will also assess your subject and language teachers in order to point out what you consider their strength and the weakness, or which will make it easier for them to adopt their work. So, we have to make sure that the assessment is done very regularly. This allows the control and access of and the success of the project. If you are not doing proper assessment and you are not guiding and mentoring properly, this will create the problem. Then also we have to see that the subject and the language teacher, in order to point out what you consider their strength and the weakness are. So they have to consider their strength and the weakness of the students, which will make it easier for them to adopt their work. So accordingly, the students will be given the work and they will try to understand and they should try to do the work. Your project marks will be included in your final marks. So in the final marks, your project work marks are also given for your grading of the students. So these things we have to understand. So students and the teachers and their assessment and timing has to be followed as per the given standards. Next, we have to do the meeting and the research. How we will do the meeting, and in this I am going to discuss about the meeting and the research, and this will be useful for the undertaking the project work. So first one is before the first meeting. So what we have to do before the first meeting? the first two activities going on in this project will be team formation and designing a problem. So two things we have to do before first meeting, that we have to form a team and then we have to design the problem. These two are very, very important, because if you are not able to formulate and form a nice team, and a balanced team should be there, because all good students should not be in one place. The formation of the students as per their skill level, if there are 3 or 4 students, their different multicultural people, different boys and girls, they should join together from different locality, they should join. So they will learn their culture also, their thoughts, their way of living, and all the things will be learned. So team formation by the teacher is very, very important. They have to take the opinion of the team member also. It should not be forcefully. That also we have to ensure. Second thing, designing a problem. The problem should be designed in such a way that the students should have interest on it, and it should be given for the team members to decide what problem they are going to solve, and for that they have to work and they have to find out the exact problem. So these two things, it should be discussed before doing the first meeting. So team formation, how to do? You should take into account both your interest in certain topics or problems as well as group dynamics. So what is the meaning here? You should take into account both your interest. So your interest of the students in certain topics or problems as well as group dynamics. What is the meaning of group dynamics? In a group, they have the 4 members. How these 4 members are behaving. The teacher should know each and every students, how they behave, how they work together. These all things should be understood. Interest of the students, the topic of the students, their problems, and how these students have the caliber, how they can behave, and how they will go ahead with the team. That they have to understand with the team formation. It is of vital importance for the team members not to just be interested in a certain problem, but to have the below mentioned quality as well. So it is not that only they have the very good team, they have found out very good problem, they have very good dynamics, but they have to understand some more thing. And these are as you form your team, check if all roles are represented by completing the table below. So before we have to form that all roles are represented by completing the table below. I am showing in my next slide one table, and all the roles are represented in your team. If your group is not heterogeneous enough, will you find another team members, or due to time constraint work on improving the needed skill? So if you find that your group is not heterogeneous enough, I told you that it should not be homogeneous. Means same type of people should not be there. Different types of people should be there in a group. But if you find that all are in the same type, so will you like to change it? Or you will find that, oh no, I will manage by this, and how we can go and how we can improve the needed skills, that has to be worked out before team is formed. This has to be understood. Now I am going to discuss about the table. So who is like this, who is not like this? In your team member, this we have to decide if there are 4 members. So first point is innovator. Produces ideas, is imaginative, clear, can be oversensitive. First one is innovator. The main purpose is innovator. So produces ideas. Innovator will produce the new ideas, new thoughts. Is imaginative, clear, clever, can be oversensitive. So who all are there? 1, 2, who is not 3 and 4. Okay, like this. Or just you can give the number or you can write the name here. Then next is the investigator. Finds things out. Always knows someone who enthusiastic. So investigator means he or she will find out that what things are required. Always know someone, any resource person, anything who are there, they should also know about this. Chairperson, self-confident, commands, respects, good speaker, think positively, good at guiding, can be bossy or domineering. So you have to select a chairperson, CP, who is the best for this. Like 1 and who are not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only one will be the chairperson or the leader of your team. Then shaper. Who is the shaper? Shaper is the person who is having energetic, drives everyone along, needs to succeed, makes things happen. Then you decide who is there. 2 is there, 1, 4, 5 is not there. Then team worker. Who is like this? All are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If all 5 are there. And these team workers should be sympathetic, understanding, sensitive, leads from behind, places the team above personal concern. In this all one. Organizer, methodological, then hardworking, reliable, turns ideas into work. So 4, 5. 1, 2 and 3 not there. Finisher means final product. You're writing the work, consciousness, then works hard to finish things properly, meets deadlines, pay attention to details. So in this we have to see that who all are the good for writing the work, for presenting the work. These all things you have to decide, and who all are not there. These all things has to be decided, and this is taken from this research work adapted from Gibbs 1981. So like this we have to prepare the table, and after preparing the table we have to formulate a nice team, and then we have to go ahead. After forming the team we have to go for the problem. So now I am going to discuss about the how to formulate or how to find the problem. So designing a problem, that is the meaning how we can design and how we can go ahead with the problem of the project. Designing your problem is of a vital importance. This could be done by yourself with the help of a subject teacher or completely by your subject teacher. So this we can do in 2 ways, or totally by the students, totally by student with the small help of teacher, and or without teacher's help you can do this. Okay, so when designing a problem, set your goals carefully. So this one we have to see that set your goals carefully. Very calculated goals to be done so that you are able to complete your task. Avoid topics for which no literature is available in the target language. You should make sure that first you have to see that sufficient literature is available on that topic. Don't go for a very new topic which you are not aware anything. Use a thought-provoking title. Your title should be very impressive and thought-provoking. Okay, so this we have to see it. Your problem should be interesting, motivating, and relevant to the professional field, connected with real life situation, open-ended in terms of offering different solutions, well researched, related to the interest and need of the students and their future careers, complex enough that cooperations from all members will be necessary. So these all things we have to see that this all work is done properly. Now, next topic I am going to discuss about getting organized, how you will go ahead and how you will do the meeting and keeping records, meeting minutes of the meeting. These all things we have to see it and we should try to abide by that. So after designing a problem, so we have formed the group and we have designed the problem. Now what we have to do? We have to organize the things, we have to organize the meetings and how we can keep the record. So after designing a problem, you will have several meetings, at least two. That is meeting 1 and meeting 2 together with teacher. So you can have a number of meetings, but make sure that meeting 1 is completed. Before the meeting 1, your project, your group is formed and your problem is identified. These two things should be done before the real meeting first will start. In addition, you will have several meetings as a team in and outside the classroom where you will work on the problem. So before this meeting also and after the meeting also, inter students meetings should be there. You should always within 1 or 2 days, one half an hour meeting has to be conducted. It may be in your classroom and or outside of the classroom that students have to decide and they have to work together in this area where you will work on the problem. And you, in this meeting, you will discuss only about the problem, not anything else. Look for the resources, analyze the problems, discuss possible solution, and finally decide on the best solution to the problem. So what do you have to discuss in the meeting? So in the meeting, you have to discuss about the availability of the resources. In our college, in your surroundings, in your locality, what type of resources are available? Libraries available, your computers are available, your softwares are available, your experimental tools are available, your workshops are available, your all the necessary things, resources you have to find out. And then you discuss in meeting. The captain or the chairman of the team has to decide that who will do what. They have to find out the resources and then do the analysis of the problem, discuss possible solution, and finally decide on the best solution of the problem. So after you have to discuss with yourself, with the students, and find the best solution of any of the problem that you have to do. Next, what we have to do? Minutes of the meeting. Whatever we are conducting meeting, it may be with the teacher or without the teacher. One person you have to nominate. That person will start writing what points we have discussed and what we are trying to do it. So it is called minutes of the meeting. The problem discussed and its suggested solutions are presented in your report and the presentation. In order to run the meeting smoothly, you should be able to organize and plan your work by the help of an agenda and the minutes. So before you come for the meeting, you WhatsApp in your group or you send a message that these are the agenda points. In this we will be discussing. Before one day or today, all your group mates, they should be ready with all the information which they have and they have to discuss in the group. And they should make the minutes of this meeting. Stick to what has been decided and change it only when it improves your work. So whatever it is decided, you should stick to it. But however, if you feel that some points we should also include which are not in the agenda with the permission of each and everyone in the group. We should also discuss those points. The secretary should take notes of what has been discussed. Mostly this responsibility goes to the secretary, and the secretary has to notes all this discussion suggested or solved during the meeting, and which task has been assigned to whom and when they should be completed. These all things we have to write down, means what has been discussed, suggested or solved during the meeting, and which task, who will do what, whom. These all things has to be discussed. This is we have to go ahead. These notes will also be useful source of key vocabulary later in the process. These notes will be very useful for your presentation of your report and all. After the meeting, a secretary or the whole team works on the minutes, which serves as a starting point for the new agenda. So after the meeting, you make a nice report, and all have to sit down and read the minutes, and from there onwards you set a new agenda for the next meeting, and then you can do it accordingly. The agenda should be circulated before the meeting. The minutes should be taken to record what happened in step 1 to 5 and step 7. So the minutes should be taken into account, and what we have taken from step 1 to 5 and the 7. The minutes for additional meetings are suggested, although not required. It is not essential that every time you just give any suggestions, and if you are only required that time, you have to take the action. Next one is the getting started. What is our schedule? So here we can see, here we have the meeting 1, what you have to decide. So here we have the 7 steps, and I am going to discuss only few of them in this lecture. Remaining I will discuss in my next lecture. So be tuned for my next lecture also, and I will try to further elaborate all these things in my next lecture also. So in this meeting 1, first step is making the case clear. You are given a problem and try to identify it. Very much clear. First step. Everyone should be very much clear what we are going to do. And try to identify your problem. Then you design a problem yourself according to the above given advice, and consult your subject teacher who can help improve the problem and suggest resources. You should also, after your meeting, you should discuss with your teacher, the subject teacher, and your subject teacher will try to improve your problem, and also he will or she will suggest what type of resources are required. If chairperson and the secretary, which are rotating functions, are chosen by each team. So a chairperson and the secretary, which are the rotating function, means it should not be always only one. Try to make sure that as per their functions and their work, you can choose it, and this you can select another as and when required. Step 2 is formulating questions and queries. Discuss and define the problem in more detailed and generate questions addressing the problem. So in this step 2, formulate questions. You have to formulate the questions and the queries, discuss and define the problem in more detail, and generate questions addressing the problem. Step 3, identify current knowledge. Try to find answers to the questions from step 2 and identify that you already know and what you need to know to be able to solve the problem. So in this, first thing is start the meeting, find the problem. Then in the second step, formulate the questions and the queries, discuss and define the problem in more detail and generate the questions addressing the problem. And the third step is identify current knowledge to find answer to the question from step 2 and identify what you already know and what you need to know to able to solve the problem. Because you know something, but you may not know so many things. So you should understand that what I know and what I don't know. Those things which you don't know, try to learn it and try to implement those things. Here we have this figure. So here, address the problem. First, identify the learning needs. Then prepare action plan. Then gather new information. And these are the 5 steps which we have to do in the first go. So address problem is then identify the learning needs. Just we have given here that what you know and what you don't know, that you have to understand, and then you have to go prepare your action plan, gather new information, share your information. These things should be in meeting 1. Now I will go for the step 4. Structure the idea. Begin structure your writing assignment by gathering ideas that belongs together. Again, you check if there is something that requires further research. So in this step 4, structure the idea. Make your idea in a systematic way. Begin structure written assignment by gathering ideas that belongs together. All your group mates to give the idea, and then best ideas to be made in sequence wise. Again, you check if there is something that requires further research. Then you have to try to implement that thing. The step 5 is formulating learning aims and distributing tasks. We consider whether the 5 questions ideally from step 2 need to be changed again or defined more precisely. So in step 2, you have find some questions, take the 5 questions, ideal questions, and then you further discuss on that and make the further precise those things. Furthermore, each of you is assigned the task of searching for more information about a particular question. Everyone is given the questions and everyone will try to get the answer of these questions. The secretary keeps record of the assigned task. At this stage, your learning requirement formulated as aim should be clearly defined. So this has to be done clearly. So here we have again a product from step 5 is a list of your learning requirements, formulated learning objectives. Each of you is expected to be aware of these objectives later in your independent learning in step 6. Finally, you should produce an agenda for your next out of class meeting or meeting 2. So in the meeting 1, you have to decide what agenda we have to make in our next meeting in the meeting 2. At this point, make sure everybody has a copy of it or circulate it before the next meeting. After the meeting, the team members will be assessed. The feedback will be given by your language teacher in order to improve your work. So these things has to be done. Now meeting 1 and the meeting 2. What we have to do? between the meeting 1 and the meeting 2. This will come in a step 6. So individual activities in this, some individual activities are there, like looking for literary sources. So in this, your literature survey, your books, your articles, your newspapers, your YouTube videos. Research look into the problem individually by researching different aspects using various sources like library, books, magazines, academic journals, the internet and other resources. During and after the meeting, you will have access to the library and free access to the computer that will be loaded with the relevant computer programs. You can start these activities as soon as you have designed a problem, or you can also design a problem to the basic of literary sources. During this step, keep in mind your learning objectives. What information are you looking for? So in this, only your topic you should concentrate. Focus on a particular topic. Don't just waste your time by googling some other things. So what are you trying to find out? That should be always in your mind. To be successful and time efficient in your individual research, you should use the library as well as internet sources effectively. You need to acquire information search skill unless you have already mastered them. Make effective use of search engines. You should be able to determine keywords or set search profiles, narrow them down, select suitable text and look at that. Okay, so these are the my step 6, and these are my references which I have taken from different sources. Any questions you are welcome to ask. I will feel very pleasure to reply. Hope you will like this session, and in my next I will be going to discuss about meeting 2 and how you can go ahead and how you can draft your meeting. This all I am going to discuss in my next topic. Thank you very much for joining.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.